Here we have JCB's TM220, part of a 4 model pivot steering telehandler range from the British manufacturer. This particular model is its answer to a compact pivot steering telehandler. To me it looks like a scaled down version of some of its larger wheeled loaders, so will that help or hinder it in this comparison test? So the good old JCB then, from our very own Blighty. How's it fare against the other 3 competitors, and not just any competitors, we're talking stiff competition especially from the likes of Schaefer and Weidemann, who have been at this game a very long time in this pivot steer telehandler sector. They know what they're up to, so I'm not saying JCB doesn't, but it is up against some very stiff competition. First impressions then, well, inside the cab it essentially feels like a scaled down version of the manufacturer's larger wheel loaders. So it's like sort of a squashed JCB 435S, but they've pulled it off quite well. The only problem is, with such a big cab and all the comfort that comes with it, the fact that the cab's quite tall, which means it's the tallest overall out of the other, compared to the other 3 machines, which does hinder it ever so slightly, especially when it comes to low doorways in old buildings. That said, the rest of the interior of the cab is well laid out, really intuitive controls. I mean, you can pretty much just jump on and drive this thing. Unfortunately the dash, the LCD display on the dash is minuscule. You will need your readers to get that one. Performance wise, particularly the transmission, it's a pretty smooth operator. The combined inching and brake pedal, not just quite as refined as the 2 German machines it's up against, but not too bad nonetheless. Like all the others, it's got a 2-range hydrostatic, which you can change on the move via the 2 buttons on the joystick there, just simply high and simply low. Now for around yards you'd expect to use low range all the time, but unfortunately it's only limited to about 6 kilometres an hour, which for this kind of work, shuttling back and forwards, is well, it's just far too slow, to be honest. You don't really use it if you wanted to be really precise about things. So I just tend to leave it in high and just try and keep the accuracy using the foot. In terms of visibility, it's not too bad. I mean, it should be pretty decent because you're sat high up on a perch. So views to the rear are good, you're looking well over the bonnet. Views to the front aren't bad, but views to the right hand side are impeded by this full length console, which none of the others have, and you can see right down to the sides. That mainly was an issue, especially in close quarter situations when you're in a tight building. You know, you just want to see what's going on and what's happening around you, which you just couldn't do on this machine. Also as well, views upwards through the pitiful roof window, which looks just like an afterthought, to be honest. It's like, oh crap, we better put something there, so we'll just cut out a hole. And it's got quite a large cross member, which means you're either straining your neck to look under it or straining your neck to look over the top of it. So then, what do we think of the JCB? Well, one of its plus points is definitely got to be cab comfort. It's really tall, really roomy, you can stretch out, and it's just a really good place to spend a day working. However, that does come at a cost, because the cab is so tall. It is quite clearly one of the tallest machines out of the 4 tested, which also means in some of the buildings you can't actually get in with it, so it's not a true compact machine, unfortunately. One of the other big plus points of the JCB has got to be control layout. Dead simple, very obvious what everything does, really intuitive joystick to use. And one of the slight downsides though is the dash. You really do need your readers on for that one. It's tiny in comparison to a couple of the others. Now, one feature of the JCB which could be considered as a plus point or a negative point is the lateral oscillation provided by the central pivot point rather than the back axle as it is on a couple of the other machines. Some people do find it disconcerting because the machine twists like that, but it only twists by about 8 or 10 degrees, and personally around the yard I didn't find it much of a problem. I think if you are finding it a problem, it means you're being quite extreme with it. So to avoid that, don't do any extreme stuff, and you should avoid a bit of bottom twitching.